Welcome back, my friends. I'm glad you're here. We've been talking about choices, right? We've talked about two, like for win-win discipline, we've talked about false choices and what that consists of. We've talked about giving age-appropriate choices last week. And so this week, we're going to talk about the steps in delivering two positive choices. And so this is the book that we're using, right? Easy to Love, Difficult to Discipline. And there's 7 steps that leads to cooperation. So today we're going to talk about these two positive choices, right? And in order to deliver a win-win discipline situation, right, we just need 2 things. 2 things is all we need, right? We have to think in positive terms, not false terms, right? What we want them to do. So if you go back and look at some of the previous videos, we've talked about the power of attention. The power of attention means that we're focusing. What we focus on, we get more of, right? The power of attention. So that's what we're trying to do. That's the first thing. The second thing that we're doing is we have to give them a true choice, right? Not a false choice. And so here we use the power of free will, and there's a video on that as well. And so people choose how they'll behave, right? And so they get to choose what they do. And so if we offer 2 positive choices, then they're going to usually choose one of those. Okay, so we're going to think about that as we continue to talk through today. So as you think about these 2 steps, these steps are going to, these next steps are going to help us do the 2 things that we need to do. Offering positive choices, right? And give them a true choice. That's all we need to do, right? In order to do those 2 things, I'm going to give you some steps that you can follow. The first one is to breathe deeply, right? Conscious Discipline, which is written by Becky Bailey. She always talks about a pause, right? Because if we have a reaction, if we have not a reaction, but if we have something that, a situation, if we don't pause, then we're going to have a reaction, right? If we do have the situation, we have a pause, right? We're not going to react. We're going to do the opposite of that, right? And so breathe deeply, right? As soon as somebody makes your day or you think, oh my gosh, right? Just take a deep breath. Nothing's going to happen in the time that you take a deep breath other than you're going to go from your fight or flight, your brainstem, back up to your ability to make conscious choices, right? And so then you tell the child you have a choice. After you've breathed deeply, you have a choice, right? Be upbeat and light. Be upbeat and light about it, right? Make it a good thing, right? And so say, you have a choice, buddy. These things fell down. And so you have a couple of choices. You can pick them up and put them over here, or you can put them over here. So where do you want to put them, right? The idea is he's going to pick them up. That's what I want to have happen, right? So he can put them over here or he can put them over here, and he gets to choose where. So it's a positive choice, right? And you state the 2 choices, right? Which I just did, right? You can do that. You can put them over here or you can put them over here. And then complete the process by asking the child for the commitment. So what are you going to do now? Oh, that's right. And they're going to tell me, I'm going to pick them up and I'm going to put them over here. Oh, so you're not going to put them over here. You're going to put them over here, right? So helping them with that commitment, form that commitment of what they're going to do, right? As we think about outbursts, right? Emotional control, right? One of the things that we want them to do as they repeat the choices, right, is notice the child's choice, right? I'm going to do this, right? As we notice it verbally, right, we're doing 2 things for our kids, right? We're adding validation, right? And they make the final we make the final comment, right? It helps the kids to be aware of one's strengths, right? So as they verbalize that, right, they're bringing back up to that frontal lobe, right? They're verbalizing it. And that area up here, it has the power to override emotional outbursts, right, that are critical to self-control. So if you have a child that has continual maybe a rough word, but has a lot of emotional outbursts, that's one of the things that you can do to help them, right, is walk them through the choices, get them to commit back to you, get them to verbalize back to you what they're going to do. And that helps this area in the frontal lobe so that they can have less emotional outbursts, right? And so quite often we make our choices unconsciously, right? And we end up feeling controlled by life, right? But when we can give them the gift, right, of having a great command of themselves, physiologically and psychologically, right, then we're just passing this little gift on to them that says, I'm helping you with this. I'm helping you make choices. I'm helping you get up to your frontal lobe, right? So that then you can be in control of your life, right? As you think about older children, it's not any different, right? The choices may look a little different, right? But you just change up the way that it's stated. So it seems to me like you have a couple of options here, buddy. You're free to do this or you're free to do this. Which one do you want to do? Right? So it's just the way that it's handled, but it's still the same principle, right? And then the next thing, you guys, is just to practice, 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 right? I remember my dad, he used to practice. Like he was speaking at an engagement for a city engagement or a church engagement, right? Or a scouting engagement. He would always go over, he'd shut the door, just leave it open just a crack. And I would always hear him in there going over his talk, right? And I used to think, gosh, Dad, you're kind of wise, you're kind of older, you don't need to do that anymore, right? But I did that this last weekend. I had a presentation that I did, and I went in there and went over and over just so that I could make sure I was within the time, right? But having that repeated in my brain puts me back up to my frontal lobe as well, helps me be a little bit more assertive, helps me take command and control of what I'm doing here. So as we do that today, remember the first things that we're going to do when we're trying to give the steps in delivering choices are, we must think in positive terms, right? So we're going to draw on that power of attention. We focus on what we want, right? And then the second thing is give them a true choice, right? And so use the power of free will. And then I give you 5 steps, right? Breathe deeply. Tell your child you have a choice. State the 2 choices, right? Notice your child's choice, right? Verbally. And then for older children, it's the same, right? So have them complete that process. Good luck this week as we try to practice, 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 and get better at delivering 2 choices. It will help, and it will get that muscle memory going, right? So that we can continue to do this. So we don't have to think about it as much. It'll become a part of your everyday parenting. Make it a good week, you guys.